And next up we have Heidi White, who's talking about Chiropractics Anonymous, which presumably is a place that you go to have chiropractic anonymously, is that right?
Oh, well, it's sort of a 12-step program I'm on, actually. Here we go. All right. And I'm on, everyone can hear me? Oh, yes you can. Hi. Hi. So, I'm Heidi. And I was a chiropractic assistant. It has been 5 years since my last adjustment. But all jokes aside, I have been to many a skeptic conference since then, and I've sort of been hiding my previous woo life, and I'm sort of coming out of the closet with you all this afternoon, and I feel that it's quite brave. Thank you. Okay. So, as chiropractic has come up a few times already this evening, and you might get the idea that there are two types of chiropractors, and a lot of the focus has been on what we call the wellness care chiropractic, but there's also a whole other faction which is sort of musculoskeletal. They refer to themselves as being a bit more evidence-based, but coming from a wellness background, I refer to those guys as crisis care. They're not really looking after you to your optimal level. So, here's a question that I've been asked a lot. What is a subluxation? And it's kind of hard to define because it depends on who you ask. If you asked me about 6 years ago, I would say something like this. That we all have a brain, and it's connected to all the tissues and muscles and bones of our body via our spinal column. A subluxation happens when you get a misalignment in your spine and the message gets jumbled up. And then your body can't reach a level of homeostasis, and that's where your body wants to be. It wants to be well, and you have an innate intelligence that wants to work through your nervous system to get you to that optimal state. But, excuse me, let's not listen to me, let's listen to the experts. The guy at the top, he's Dr. Tony Croak, and he is pretty important in the Chiropractic Association of Australia. And on Catalyst about a year ago, on the 11th of July, he explained that even the slightest misalignment in the spine can act like a traffic jam in the central nervous system and lead to dis-ease. In chiropractic circles, that's called a subluxation. So it's not necessarily that you have to compress the nerve root on the way out, but in fact, the messages coming back can be distorted because of the static in the nervous system traveling back upwards. Now, the sexy hipster down the bottom, that's Dee Palmer, and he was a magnetic healer and the founder of chiropractic. The story goes that in about 1895, he had a janitor who worked for him who was hard of hearing and or deaf, depending on which story you listen to. And Dee noticed one day that he was bending over, picking something up, and he had a spinal misalignment, and he hit it with a book on the back of the neck, and miraculously he could hear again. So he hypothesized, and perhaps in 1895 it was a valid hypothesis, that it was that vertebra, that there was something going on, and it was what he did. And he developed an entire medical practice based on this idea, this concept, that a subluxated vertebra is the cause of 95% of all diseases. And the other 5% is caused by displaced joints other than those in the vertebral column. And this is how he founded his college, the Palmer College of Chiropractic in Iowa. And that's still going. And if you are a wellness chiropractor, it's quite prestigious to have Palmer as a part of your accreditation. Whoops. Okay. So, this is a picture of a spine, and it says at the top, the effects of subluxation and nerve interference. Over to the left, I put a little box. I know you can't read it, so I'll read it to you. The little box says, according to Gray's Anatomy textbook, the nervous system controls and coordinates all the organs and structures of the human body. And that's pretty sciencey. People like that. People like science. However, over here in the middle, it gets broken down into your cervical and your thoracic and your lumbar. And over the far side are things that can be caused by subluxations, and or if you have one of these, it can cause a subluxation. It works both ways. So in the upper cervical, they reckon that having an adjustment in your neck, often like right up there at your atlas, your C1, can cause headaches and migraines. You think, oh yeah, that's cool. But it could also, or possibly plausible, but it could also cause depression or epilepsy, and or, if you have those, adjusting that can fix them. The lower cervical is things like thyroid issues and weight gain can be fixed with adjustments according to subluxation theory. The upper thoracic is asthma, functional heart conditions and chest pain. The mid-thoracic is shingles, blood sugar problems including diabetes. And in the lumbar, we've got things like sciatica. Yeah, people go for back pain, people go for sciatica. But they could also fix your erectile dysfunction and sort out your prostate. So you think that this sort of thing is potentially, you could do an experiment and, find out if it's a plausible thing, if it would work. And thankfully, we've got these mob, the Spinal Research Foundation, and they're a whole bunch of chiropractors, and their job is to hopefully do a bit of research to convert you guys, surely, right? A bit of science. And you'd all be like, hey, yeah, we could get into this chiropractic thing, we'll have to turn on a dime. I'm so sorry, subluxations are real. I'm going to read something from their website. So this is their focus, the Spinal Research focus. Their focus is chiropractic research. The Spinal Research is a non-for-profit organisation facilitating research which is unique to chiropractic. This all sounds pretty good. We think differently about life and human potential. We believe that people deserve a healthy, happy, active life, and chiropractic helps them achieve that. To me, that's starting to sound like a conclusion already. We recognise the value of a chiropractic adjustment. Our vision is to demonstrate through scientific evidence that having regular chiropractic care helps people live healthier, happier lives. That's why we focus on research that investigates the effects of the chiropractic adjustment on human function and global well-being. Their mission? The mission of the Australian Spinal Research Foundation is to facilitate research which furthers the understanding, development and effectiveness of chiropractic care. So it sounds all okay, but there are things there that are assuming that it's already working. Well, excuse me. So, you wonder about their agenda, and I don't feel they're coming from a non-biased place. So, you heard me before mention dis-ease. Oh, boy, do chiropractors love throwing that one around. If your body is not in a state of ease and well-being, it is in a state of dis-ease. And the entire medical foundation, medical practice, Western medicine, as we know it, is based on this idea of disease, according to chiropractors. And that's all they treat. They don't treat the underlying symptoms. And yeah, so you can never reach that optimal health. Your body's never working as it should. You're always just putting on patches. And we accuse these other mob of doing that as well with their crisis care. So, and the idea of optimal health is that your spine is the key in chiropractic. And you need to have 3 curves in your spine. You need to have your cervical curve, then your thoracic curve, and your lumbar again. And there's measurements that you're attempting to achieve, and that's why we need to take x-rays, because we can prove as you go along that we're reaching closer and closer to that optimal shape. And we don't want any degeneration, and if you get chiropractic care, we can stop arthritis in its tracks by getting your spine back to where it should be. So, what is wellness? Oh, good. All right. So, wellness is this concept of when you go in for your back pain. Lots of people go in for back pain. Back pain is hard to treat. They go to their doctor tries to treat, they go to their spinal surgeon, and sometimes they can go through the whole process and come out and it's not very much better. And I've spoken to spinal experts and I've spoken to pain experts about exactly that. And so they get sent, so they get a bit upset with the establishment, and they think, you know what, my friend's been to see a chiropractor and I'm going to give it a try. So they come in for back pain, and that's down the bottom here where they're suffering. And each of these dots is a visit to a chiropractor. So at the start, you visit lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. And when you get to about here, the pain stops. But we haven't found the cause yet, but a lot of patients will go away, and then they'll come back, and we'll treat them, they'll go away. But if you come for your whole life, well, not only can we treat your back pain, but we can treat your asthma about here, and we can treat your, you didn't even know that you had concentration problems, but that's okay, we're treating them about there. And it wavers a bit because, maybe up there somewhere you fell down the stairs, you tripped something, you had a baby, that can cause subluxations. And so you dip just a little bit, but thankfully you've been with us and we'll continue to take care of you for your whole life. Unlike doctors who only treat you when you need it. So, chiropractors, they really believe that what they're doing is good. And I really believed that what I was doing was good. People were coming in and you want to help them. You want to give people the best life you can. You're there, you're giving, you're kind, you want to listen to them. And it's an entire lifestyle. So, they want to be primary caregivers. And the little blurb that came with this poster said something along the lines of, this poster shows chiropractic where it should be, on top. And they want to be the first port of call. And then followed by drugs and finally surgery. And I think that if you spoke to most surgeons, they would say that that's probably the last line of defense anyway, that they don't really want to go cutting you up. But the implication is that it's an industry built on drugs and it's an industry built on surgery. and you get a bit fearful of it. You want to be off those, and of course everybody does want to be off drugs, and everybody wants to be pain-free, and everybody wants to have good concentration and regular bowel movements and everything else that we can offer you. At a seminar that I went to, there was a talk by what they called superpowered CAs, CA being chiropractic assistants, where they wanted newborn babies in the delivery room to be given to the chiropractor first to be checked over. Oh, when you come in and you give me your history in the practice, if I can't find anything that's a trauma in your life at all, you've had a really good life, birth trauma. Everyone's had a birth trauma, and it's going to show up on your x-rays. So we need to get you into the x-rays out the back. And then once we get the x-rays, we can prove it to you. We can prove it that that birth was too fast, too slow, too much drugs, too few drugs, whatever it is that's caused you birth trauma. And of course people don't remember their births, and certainly once they get of an age, their parents may have not be there to ask them about, or it's an uncomfortable question. Hey mum, 60 years ago, was I fast out? My chiropractor wants to know. So this brings me to my job as a CA, and it's different to a job as a medical receptionist. It's very different. I still have to answer the phone, I still have to book you in, I still have to get your file, and I have to make sure my doctor's running on time. But I know your name. You come in and I go, hey Joe, how's the kids? And I know that Joe's kids do, I don't know, ballet on a Friday and soccer on a Saturday. So she has a Saturday AM appointment. She comes in and it's bizarre. I'm like, wow, Joe, aren't you supposed to be at soccer? And oh, we've got a bye this week, but next week we've got the finals. Oh, great. And then because chiropractic is a family affair, when we see little Joe Jr. come in on the following Tuesday after school, we can say, oh, Joe, you got into the soccer finals. How great's that? And it's personal. I knew every single one of our clients, and I knew something about them. And that's personal. I was the first person they spoke to when they called that very first time, and they were tentative about coming to chiropractic care, fancy that. And I started building rapport. When they came in and they'd made their first appointment, I would have their first name on a chart out the front that says, welcome Rihanna. And because I knew everybody, when Rihanna comes in, I go, oh, Rihanna, it's your first day. Hi, I'm Heidi, and I'm going to be your CA. And I would spend the next hour with that person taking a really comprehensive history. When was the last time you went to a doctor and you'd had an hour just chatting about everything that was wrong? It doesn't happen. And so you've built that rapport, and it was really fundamental to sustaining the practice and continuing it. And I also had to live the lifestyle. It is a culture, and it is its own little habitus with its own little rules, its own language and way of speaking. Things like subluxation, you don't find that anywhere else. You have your own language. And every day you wake up and you assess how you were sleeping, because and we go to work and you wear flat shoes and you make sure you're standing straight, you got your shoulders back. I would get adjusted every week, and if I felt just a little off, I'd get another adjustment. On that wellness plan you saw earlier, we would have people who would pay for their entire wellness plan for the year in advance. So potentially that was 72 visits, and they would pay for it up front. And if they did that, if anything happened, any more trauma, they were in a little dingle in the car park, they could come in and be adjusted. So long as they're sticking to their schedule, we wouldn't charge them anymore, because we didn't want them to go backwards. We wanted them to keep going forwards. We wanted them to keep feeling better. And that was my lifestyle. And it's quite it's friendly, and it takes on a lot of other alternate medicines. If you went along to your doctor and said, I'm taking St. John's wort for, I don't know, whatever it is, depression or something, they could say, oh, no, you have to get off that, because that could react with the actual medication. You come to a chiropractor, that's awesome. I'm so glad you're taking a step forward in your own health and taking a hold of your own health. And that's nice to not be told that the other things that you're doing are wrong. And I'm coming to the end. I'm really quick, actually. So I thought that I was helping people. Everybody thought that they were helping people. And that's really, really important to remember, that they lived and breathed it. They weren't doing it to people, anything that they weren't doing themselves. And and self-relaxation theory was their lives. And not only their business, they didn't feel they were scamming people. You know, you all made a noise. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that you'd make them pay 70 visits in advance, because if you went to a medical doctor and they tried to do that, there would be a fair few issues. But they don't see it as that, they see it as a way of helping. Anyway, that's about it. I'm happy to take loads of questions.
All right, thank you very much. How about that? So I'm sure there must be some questions. So if you do have a question, it would be great if you could make your way to the microphone at the back, just so everyone can hear you there. So let's start the first question there.
Hi.
Hello.
I've got a crook neck. Help.
Oh no, I'm not trained. I haven't had 5 years of university.
That's what they're calling it these days, are they? Any other questions? Yeah, Michael.
Hi, just wondering, how did it unravel for you?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. It's no mistake that my daughter is about 6 years old, and I had my final adjustment about 5 years ago. Maddie has never been adjusted, and that's much to do with my partner Ryan. And about that time, I was very young, and so was he, and so we moved in with his parents, and they lived interstate, and I was removed from my situation and my culture and my friends, and I was physically removed, geographically removed, and Ryan, being quite logically minded, thought, you know what, she's got this really crazy belief that is her identity. I've got to be careful here. You know, and she's now the mother of my child. I can't just go and get rid of this crazy one. So he slowly introduced me to things like SGU. And I started learning about logical fallacies. And then I started applying logic to my belief system. And the rest is history.
All right. Any more questions there? Yep.
Just to add to that then, so you'd say that if your partner had directly challenged you, you wouldn't have listened. So because it was gentle, it was more effectual?
It was so much a part of who I was. If he'd attacked this belief too strongly, I would have put up walls, I would have dug in my heels. I really would have. I had to come to this conclusion by myself, guided, sure. But if he went straight out and said, no, everything you believe is absolute bullshit. Who's going to respond well? No one, nobody. So yeah, no, it was slow. It took a while, but I was initially not even going to vaccinate And it's through chiropractic that I heard of Meryl Dorey, so from the other side of the fence. Yeah, which is now why I'm involved in Stop the AVN, because anybody could be on the other side of the fence. And it doesn't make you stupid. It really doesn't, yeah.
I think we've got another question.
Yeah, Heidi, was there ever any medical condition that yourself or the chiropractors you work with said no to? That no, we can't fix, you need to go see a medical doctor?
A broken arm.
That was it?
Yeah. I beg your pardon? But they called us, they came in, because they were doing this one. They came to us first. We saw children, within half an hour of them having an epileptic seizure, because their parents would bring them in to sort that out. And this one time, on an X-ray that was just a normal lumbar X-ray to prove that our hips were aligning again, because we want them to be nice and straight, of course, to solve all sorts of problems. But there was a weird mass that my chiropractor was like, that's a bit weird, and sent them off to the doctor, and I don't know what happened with that.
Okay, and that's actually all we've got time for with questions, unfortunately.
Sorry,
so,
guys.
I'm sure Heidi will be around afterwards if you want to quiz her about that. So thank you very much again to Heidi. What a great talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.